This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Because of our current health crisis, our situation globally with COVID-19, politicians, specifically Donald Trump and Joe Biden, are unable to do normal campaign activities. And as a result of that, Donald Trump is using every opportunity he can, any chance he can, to use the White House as a campaign prop. If you thought yesterday you'd have a leisurely day with little headlines surrounding Donald Trump because of the holiday, you'd be wrong. You would have been wrong. Donald Trump hosted an impromptu presser, which ended up being an absolute campaign event, but an airing of grievances and a redo of 2017. Rambling on and on about Mueller and Obama spying on his campaign. And just nonsense, lie after lie after lie. And I want to touch on a few of them because it's important. It is important to not let this nonsense, this insanity, these unhinged rants go uncommented upon. Because if people lose their outrage for this, if this becomes their norm, then I believe there's less of an obligation or an urgency to remove this clear and present danger from the White House. First, of course, it starts with Donald Trump berating, shaming, hassling a reporter for wearing a mask during a global pandemic where now nearly 190,000 Americans have died from the coronavirus.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, President. The issue of what happened when you were in France continues to be a story.
You're going to have to take that off, please. You can take it off. How many feet are you away?
I'll speak a lot louder.
Well, if you don't take it off, you're very muffled. So if you would take it off, it would be a lot easier.
I'll just speak a lot louder. Is that better?
It's better, yeah. It's better.
Mr. President.
It's better, yeah, as he pouts like a child. Also, I'd like to note that Donald Trump believes that the masks are only for his safety and not those who are standing around Jeff Mason from Reuters. Look how far you're standing away from me. You can take the mask off. What about the safety and the health of those around Jeff Mason, Donald Trump? Anyway, Jeff Mason, the question he's going to ask is along the lines of, and I'm asking it, I'm telling you what the question is because a lot of these reporters weren't on mic. In fact, all of them weren't on mic. This was so impromptu that even his audio, Donald Trump's audio, was terrible. I had to go to different sources to find the best and then enhance that. But the question Jeff Mason is going to ask here is, listen, why should people believe you about your denials relative to the Atlantic story that reported that you called dead Marines suckers and losers? Why should they believe you, Donald Trump, having the knowledge and having witnessed you say and behave about John McCain the way you did? And this is how it went down.
It's better, yeah. It's better.
Mr. President, some people are having a hard time believing your denial of the Atlantic story because of what you said about John McCain in the past. Do you understand that? And have you asked John
No, I don't understand.
And have you asked John Kelly to refute that story?
No, I don't understand it at all, no, because I've always been on the opposite side of John McCain. John McCain liked wars. I will be a better warrior than anybody, but when we fight a war, we're going to win them. And frankly, I was never a fan of John McCain. You know that. It's been very obvious.
And then he rambles and rambles and rambles about John McCain and about the dossier he got into. But did you catch that moment where he says, I will be a better warrior than anybody?
I will be a better warrior than anybody.
Again, showing a fundamental lack of understanding of what it takes to be in the United States military, what it takes to call yourself a warrior, to be a warrior. Donald Trump is a 5-time draft-dodging physical coward. It's easy to say with your flapping mouth, Donald Trump, I'll be the best warrior. Blah. The same man who called avoiding STDs during Vietnam his personal Vietnam War. That he was out there acting like a brave soldier. Yeah. And he expects us to believe that he be the greatest warrior. I will be a better warrior than anybody, except for maybe the actual warriors who don their nation's uniform and act selflessly in service to their country, many of them actually dying in combat. But Donald Trump's going to be the best warrior. The presser continues, again, rambling about grievances. And at one point, I mean, come on. At one point, he talks about how his very sophisticated friends tell him that he's the most innocent and honorable man to ever hold the office of the President of the United States.
Looking at me for 4 years, they found nothing. 4 years, think of it. For 4 years, from the day I came down the escalator, I've been under investigation by sleaze, and they found nothing. They found nothing. A friend of mine said, you have to be the most innocent, honorable man ever to hold the office of president. Think of it. They spent just Mueller alone. He spent, I guess the real number turned out to be $48 million, but whatever it was, many, many millions of dollars. They had 18 angry Democrats looking. They had FBI agents all over the place. They had and they have no collusion. Friends of mine have said, sophisticated friends have said, you've got to be the most innocent guy ever to hold this office. And there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
What do you say? Or as Donald Trump would say, think of it. Think of it. The most idiotic moron to ever hold the office of President of the United States. And again, that's saying something, because we've had some doozies. Stands there airing grievances, whining about the many investigations into his rampant corruption, the many crimes, obstruction of justice. How many Donald Trump campaign managers have either pled guilty or have actually done time in prison? How many campaign officials? How many administration officials? How many Obama officials? Do you know the number? Yeah, it's 0. It's 0. Not in Donald Trump's administration. The most innocent and honorable man to ever hold the office. I mean, look, we know he doesn't have a tight grip on words. His lexicon is quite limited, in fact. But he's got to know what innocent and honorable mean, no? Anyway, the topic turned to the vaccine. There's been a lot of politicization of Donald Trump. Remember, back in February, Donald Trump said the coronavirus would just miraculously go away. That we had roughly 15 cases in the United States, and in a day or two or a week or two, that 15 would be down to 0. Remember that. That's what Donald Trump said. Well, here we are with almost 190,000 dead Americans that did not have to die. It's only because of Donald Trump's fecklessness and inaction in the face of this virus that they did. It's only because of Donald Trump's cult that refuses to don a mask to protect others around them. Great patriotism. But he has politicized this, and he continues to do so. And he's asked about it, and just watch this moment.
So now what they're saying is, oh, wow, this is bad news. President Trump is getting this vaccine in record time. By the way, if this were the Obama administration, you wouldn't have that vaccine for 3 years, and you probably wouldn't have it at all. So we're going to have a vaccine very soon, maybe even before a very special date. You know what date I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, wait.
Maybe on a very special date, before a very special date. He's talking about the election. That is the definition of politicizing not only the coronavirus, but the development of a vaccine. He's charging other people with politicizing this when he's doing it. And then he gets asked about, listen, you've said many times. She didn't even invoke the time that he just did it, talking about the election, but many times you've said that you're going to get this vaccine before the election. Why is that not politicizing it? And he denies doing it, even though only seconds before he did that very thing.
Yes.
You have asserted repeatedly that a vaccine will be on the market before the election.
No, I didn't say they will. I said by the end of the year.
The same thing that
No, but you're not quoting me accurately. I said that vaccines will be on the market before the end of the year.
And right there, he's doing what he always does. Of course, he did say he'd have it there before the end of the year, likely before the end of the year. But then also many times he's invoked the election and the vaccine in the same sentence as though it's a political football. That it will be of something of political benefit for him. He has politicized this virus so much that people are now having their doubts about its ultimate efficacy because of its rush to market. People are so rattled right now that several pharmaceutical companies have actually entered into a pact to pledge to do this safely no matter what, no matter the political pressure. Reading from the Business Insider, the article, leading U.S. drug makers will sign a pact to produce a safe coronavirus vaccine amid concerns about shots being rushed to market before the presidential election. Scientists and public health experts worry about the push to bring a vaccine to market before the data clearly shows it's safe and effective. To assuage these concerns, Moderna and Pfizer, along with U.S. pharmaceutical company Johnson & Johnson and French pharmaceutical company Sanofi, are preparing to release a joint statement that promises to put safety before speed. So obviously that leads us to where we are, this very next clip, only seconds later, that Donald Trump is going against the very industry that he acts like he's touting. The quote from that article, are preparing to release a joint statement that promises to put safety before speed. What's Donald Trump's take on this whole matter?
So I didn't say what you said. What I said is by the end of the year, but I think it could even be sooner than that. It could be during the month of October, actually. Could be before November.
But aren't you also saying that for political reasons?
No, I'm saying that because we want to save a lot of lives. With me, it's the faster the better. With somebody else, maybe they would say it politically, but I'm saying it in terms of this is what we need. We have to have, if we get the vaccine early, that's a great thing, whether it's politics or not.
Whether it's politics or not. Screw safety. With me, the faster the better. Really inspiring confidence in the United States electorate and the world. And then, of course, this presser wraps with matters of race. Because Donald Trump is now threatening schools with funding if they teach the 1619 curriculum, which was a brilliant, award-winning journalistic piece from the New York Times and Nicole Hannah-Jones about the lasting effects of slavery. 1619 being the year that the first kidnapped human beings, enslaved human beings, were brought to the shores of America. And he's now threatening funding for schools against schools who are teaching this important curriculum. He was asked about it.
Your tweet about the 1619 project, why do you object to that being taught in schools? And do you object to slavery itself being taught in schools?
Yeah, so no, I want everybody to know everything they can about our history. I'm not a believer in cancel culture, the good and the bad. If you don't study the bad, it could happen again. So I do want that subject studied very, very carefully and very accurately. But we grew up with a certain history, and now they're trying to change our history, revisionist history. That's why they want to take down our monuments. That's why they want to take down our statues. I saw something the other day which was absolutely horrendous. Washington Monument, they want to rename it. The D.C. committee, but the D.C. committee is all Democrats. Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson. I mean, we're talking about, this is the big stuff now. This is the big stuff.
All of that is nonsense. As with just about everything related to Donald Trump and matters of race, that is nonsense. First of all, for him to say, I'm not a believer in cancel culture, is ridiculous. As he's, the very week that he's trying to get Jennifer Griffin from Fox News fired for reporting, backing up the reporting in the Atlantic article about him calling dead Marines losers and suckers. He doesn't believe in cancel culture unless it's him trying to get certain journalists fired for doing their jobs well. But it was this moment that really stuck out at me when he said, we grew up with a certain history, and now they're trying to change that history. Let me tell you, he's talking about white people history in this country. I grew up, and of course everybody grew up in America learning that slavery was a thing, and the Civil War was fought over slavery. But that's it. They leave it there. That Lincoln freed the slaves, and then kumbaya, everything was great again. And that ignores the reality of our nation's original sin. It ignores what happened post-slavery, from sharecropping and convict leasing and lynching, the violence, the oppression, segregation, more lynching, more violence and oppression. The treatment of our black heroes returning from war and being treated horrifically after serving their country. Redlining, no access to loans, no access to the American dream to build something to leave to a future generation. Being completely boxed out of the intergenerational transfer of wealth. Donald Trump doesn't want the full story told. He wants the easy, saccharine sweet version. The white version. The version that paints white people as the heroes. A white man freed the slaves. That's all you need to know. Hooray! It's simpleton. It's simpleton BS. Because our history is a lot more complex than that. And now he's threatening schools for teaching the truth, for teaching actual history. It is disgraceful. And again, look, I don't know how many videos between now and Election Day are going to end this way, but we have a choice. We have a choice. You have the power in you, in your vote, and your influence on your network of people, your friends, your family, your neighbors, to get them to do the right thing. Make their mark to get Donald Trump out of office so we can finally move forward and start pressuring the Biden administration into some progress. You know, look, I talk about this on my podcast, I Doubt It, with Dollemore, that you're going to be hearing a lot of criticism from me going forward aimed at my party, aimed at Democrats, aimed at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. If I see them not doing the right thing, I'm going to criticize to try to move the needle in the right direction. And I think all of us have an obligation to do that. Because if Donald Trump gets out of office, then all of us just, sigh of relief. We all sit back in our chairs like our job is done now. Take it over, Joe. Well, then we've failed. Because we all have an obligation as citizens, an obligation one to another, to make our country better. And I believe that progressive policies are the right answer to make our country better. Anyway, listen, I'd love to know what you think. You can email me daily at Dollemore.com. Of course, you can always call. Leave me a fewer than 3-minute voicemail. It's Google Voice. They'll cut you right off if you go longer. 714-576-4054. I'd love to hear from you. If you disagree, I'd love to hear from you. Also, connect with me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Everywhere that there's social media, I'm there. And I'd love to connect with you. The other thing is if you would like to help produce my content here on YouTube, you can click the join button below the video here if you're on your phone or if you're on a tablet or your computer, and click the join button. For fewer than $2 a month, you can become a channel member here on YouTube and help produce my content, help support independent media voices like mine. I've said it before, I'll continue to say it. If I'm not your guy, if there's someone out there who brings you more value, then support that person. It doesn't have to be me. I mean, it helps me if it's me, but listen, these are crazy times, and independent media voices like mine and others are immeasurably important. So if you have the means and it's not a struggle, then help support someone out there. Anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I will see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.